today, I'm going to cover 3 of the players that had the most disappointing careers in NBA history. And you're going to want to stick around to see who's at number 1 on my list. Starting at number 3, Greg Oden. Greg Oden was drafted number 1 in the 2000 NBA draft by the Portland Trail Blazers. Coming out of Ohio State University, he dominated in college basketball. He completely dominated the painted area, averaging 15.7 points, 9.6 rebounds, and 3.3 blocks in his lone season at Ohio State University. There were incredibly high expectations for Greg Oden coming into the Portland Trail Blazers, and to further highlight how much of a bust his career was, he was drafted ahead of Kevin Durant, and he even drew comparisons to the all-time great Bill Russell. But plagued by injuries from the very beginning, he missed his entire rookie season. And this was due to a microfracture surgery that he needed on his knee. He played sporadically parts of 3 seasons over 7 years with the Portland Trail Blazers and the Miami Heat. He showed glimpses of greatness, but unfortunately, he just couldn't overcome the injuries. So he ended up with career stats of 8 points, 6.2 rebounds, and 1.2 blocks in just over 105 games in 7 seasons. Coming in at number 2, we have Hasheem Thabeet. Don't kill me if I butcher his name. Hasheem was drafted number 2 overall pick in the 2009 NBA draft by the Memphis Grizzlies, coming out of UConn University. Coming in at 7'3" with an impressive wingspan, he was viewed as a defensive force. And this was due in large part to him winning the NABC Defensive Player of the Year twice in college basketball. But unfortunately, none of this translated into success in the NBA. Thabeet ended up playing for 5 teams over the course of 5 seasons, including the Rockets, Trailblazers, Thunder, and Pistons. Unfortunately, his footwork was trash, and he had a hard time adapting to the speed of the NBA. It was just too hard for him to catch up. He ended up spending a significant amount of time in the G League, where he was just unable to secure a role for himself. After the NBA, he played overseas, but he was just never able to reach the potential and the expectations that were placed upon him. Just think about this. He was drafted ahead of Harden, Curry, and DeMar DeRozan. Bro, this guy was a bust. All right, and before I cover the number 1 bust on this list, if you've enjoyed this video, it's not too much to ask. If you can, like, subscribe, and share this video, it would really help me out with the future content that I'm going to be creating. And if there's any sort of video that you want to see in the future, just drop a comment. I'll read all the comments and reply to every single one. So the number 1 bust on this list is Anthony Bennett. Anthony Bennett was drafted number 1 overall pick in the 2013 NBA draft by the Cleveland Cavaliers. And I know what you're thinking. Obviously, he's drafted number 1 by the Cleveland Cavaliers. Everybody's thinking that he's the second coming of LeBron James. But Anthony Bennett had other ideas. The whole expectation around Bennett was that he was going to be a versatile player where he could score and also rebound, impacting the game. He definitely showed flashes of this in college, where he averaged 16.1 points per game and 8.1 rebounds, showing that he could be a two-way player. But unfortunately, homie didn't pan out in the NBA, where he played with 4 teams over 4 seasons, including Timberwolves, Raptors, and Nets. This number 1 pick had an insane career stat line. He ended up averaging 4.4 points per game, 3.1 rebounds per game, and 0.5 assists per game. Shoot, I think Brian Scalabrine had better stats than that. A lot of the issues he had was he couldn't find his footing, he struggled with weight issues, and he had a severe lack of confidence. He tried to make a run of the G League, and even after the NBA, he tried to play overseas, but he was just never able to regain his form and the expectation that he had on being a number 1 pick. Anthony Bennett is hands down regarded as one of the biggest NBA draft busts in history. After hearing these 3 players, who do you think should have been number 1 on this list? Did I miss anybody? Or would you have a completely different list? What are your thoughts? Drop a comment.